Each year, the graduating students choose a faculty member to address them at commencement. This year, the students chose Professor Emily Zhang to be their faculty speaker. Professor Zhang is an assistant professor of law who joined the Berkeley Law faculty in 2023. Professor Zhang received her PhD in political science and her JD at Stanford University. Before joining the Berkeley Law faculty, she worked at the Voting Rights Project at the ACLU as a Skadden Fellow. She teaches civil procedure, constitutional litigation, and election law. She studies legal and behavioral barriers to voting and political representation. She's an enormously popular teacher and a terrific scholar. Please join me in welcoming Professor Emily Zhang.
Good morning, everyone. Oops. Good morning, everyone. I am so delighted to be here with you today, and I want to especially introduce myself to the loved ones of our graduates here today. I want to extend to you the warmest welcome and thank you for joining our celebration here at Berkeley Law. I also wanted to reintroduce myself to those of you who know me, because today marks not only your accomplishment, but my own transition from being your current teacher to former teacher. That is to say, role model to cautionary tale. Getting to be a former teacher is truly the best kept secret of my job. Having current students is great, but only for very obvious reasons. You have to be your very best that you can be at the rate of at least 3 times a week, and that's very gratifying and satisfying and fulfilling, and it pushes me ever higher up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs towards self-actualization. But having former students is great in maybe less dramatic but no less wonderful ways. It is my hope that this transition in my role is also a good experience from your perspective. Because let me tell you what happened when I saw a former professor of my own after teaching for the first time. I looked at his face, and the first thought I had was, here's someone who's heard the earliest of my bad ideas. After I got this intrusive thought under control, I managed to have the loveliest time and even managed to imagine what it would be like to reunite with you all as your former teacher. And so today, in order to ensure that you have the best possible experience when you see me next, I want to just say up front here, yes, your ideas were very bad. But don't worry, that's not what I wanted to talk about or remind you of today, because of course your ideas have gotten better. But it's not my job anymore to help you become a good lawyer. My job now is to remind you to become the good lawyer you wanted to be that brought you to law school. It's the memory of your more passionate and more compassionate selves that I now guard. To give you a concrete example of how law school may make you a better lawyer, but not necessarily a better person, let me tell you what a former student, one of you out there, asked me a few weeks ago about my speech today. Are you planning on being funny? If this is meant to be revenge for my cold calling, well done. Although now I wonder why I don't only ask questions to which there is no good answer. I hate to admit it, I also felt a hint of pride. Law school has taught you how to master the perfectly phrased, efficiently devastating question. It could have been worse, I guess. She could have asked me this after my remarks. Tangled up in all these emotions, I stared into the student's eyes, hoping for the slightest bit of leverage, and looking desperately for any hint of the sweet, decent, uncruel human being that I first taught 3 years ago. As my head was spinning, trying to come up with the perfect comeback in the form of my own efficient, unanswerable question, the only thing that occurred to me was, who ruined you? But before I let the question leave my mouth hole, I am seized with the most horrible thought. Was it me? In room 110 with a PowerPoint? But just as I was about to take responsibility, I thought to myself, nah, it wasn't me. It was Erwin! In room 105 with invisible notes? Meanwhile, the student is getting very impatient. Lady, you haven't said anything for 5 minutes. And so I took the only option that was available to me. I laughed, and I realized that she gave me everything I needed for today. And so here is my message to you all. Now that you've mastered asking uncomfortable questions, please direct them at other people. Because there are lots of people out there who need to be asked many very uncomfortable questions. I would suggest starting with the president. It's good to warm up with an easy target. Then how about some justices of the Supreme Court, members of Congress? Don't forget, spouse. That's always a good one. What I really wanted to say to you today is a huge thank you for giving me the incredible gift of opening for Sherilyn Ifill, someone I've admired for so long. And to see my own admiration for her magnified by all of yours is very, very special, especially at such a difficult time for civil rights lawyering. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to close by making a confession, because the truth is, I am a total sap. If you are drippy like me out there, you'll know days like graduation are very challenging. And I would be reduced to tears if I talked about the full weight of the personal sacrifices and generational sacrifices that made today possible, if I talked about how much you inspire me with your good cheer and hard work, or if I were to talk about how proud I am of all of you. And so I won't. Thank you.